It's started, folks. We told you yesterday to expect a lot of trades this offseason, and we got a massive one today.
Yep.
And we've got a massive man.
Not him.
He's good. He's safe. He got a job.
Mike Daniels of the Green Bay Packers, our guest here in studio. Willie McGinnis and Reggie Bush also in today. I'm Lindsay Rhodes. This is Total Access, brought to you by DQ, and our top story is Marcus Peters. Traded from Kansas City to the Rams with 1 year left on his rookie contract, plus an option year for the team. Still don't know the terms of the deal, so it's hard to fully judge the move, but we do know how good Marcus Peters is. One of the best corners in the league. 19 interceptions in the last 3 seasons. 55 passes defensed. No one in the league has more in that time. So Ian Rappaport, why would the Chiefs let him go?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons, although it is worth noting that this is a trade, so the compensation should potentially be equal on both sides. We know why the Rams traded for Marcus Peters, one of the most dynamic playmakers in the game, add to an already star-studded defense, someone they think will help them not just next year, but for the long run. As far as why the Chiefs want to get rid of him, though, there are a couple reasons as well. Last year, remember, he was suspended for his actions on field. There was also he got getting into it with an assistant coach after the game last year when he got the suspension. In the locker room, there were certainly some issues that the Chiefs wanted to solve, and they believe they did so by sending him elsewhere. There was also some concern inside the building about whether or not they wanted to pay Marcus Peters long term. From what I understand, Andy Reid, the head coach, was really not on board with Peters as a player, and off the field, owner Clark Hunt the same way. When those guys are not on board with keeping a guy and making sure he's part of their future, it is best to send him elsewhere, and that is what the Chiefs did for a package of picks not believed to be a first-rounder.
Does this mean that Trumaine Johnson is gone, or that LA now has a crazy good secondary?
Well, they might have a crazy good secondary. In fact, they probably will, but it likely does mean that Trumaine Johnson is gone, expected to be one of the top free agent cornerbacks on the market. Remember, this was their franchise tag player over the last couple years. They really liked him, just not able to get a long-term deal done, and now he's expected to go find greener pastures elsewhere, and he is going to have a really hot market, including potentially the 49ers, who are in a little bit on this trade. And now the focus shifts a little bit to other members of the Rams defense. LaMarcus Joyner, a player they would like to lock up long-term, and then, of course, Aaron Donald, eventually going to be locked up long-term at some point, another key piece for this Rams D.
An important point. Thank you very much, Ian. As I said earlier, we are still waiting to find out the terms of the deal, which could impact our thoughts about it. But what do you think of what he just said? Willie, I'll start with you. Are we cool with the Chiefs making this move?
Well, I mean, you're not cool if you're a Chiefs fan because you're looking at it like this is one of the best players in the league at his position and what he does. But Andy Reid locker room has always been a disciplined locker room, and he's also always had players in there to conduct themselves a certain way. And, you know, I hate to say it, but there's a track record with Peters coming from college all the way until now, some of the things that he's went through. And I know there's multiple opportunities and chances for him in Kansas City. And there's a lot of times where your behavior will outweigh your talent. And certain coaches don't want that in the locker room. They see it as a distraction. It takes away from the team. It's individualism over team. And sometimes it hurts the team. So Andy Reid probably is tired of it. He's not going to let it continue. And it's a bad example for other players, especially some of the younger players that they're trying to develop and get going. So this is a lesson. It's okay. He's still going to play. But you already see it's affecting him. So if he wants those huge mega deals that everybody's talking about, he's going to have to, mature and become better. Yeah.
If you're in that locker room, how are you responding to this?
Well, as a veteran, I feel like I let the kid down. I feel as though I didn't do enough as a vet to take him under my wing. You know the type of guys you bring in, and if you care, you're trying to do the research on the kids that are coming in, or that are coming in. So if you got a guy that's got a little bit of a temper, a little bit of a high head, first of all, you're going to want that, especially on the defense side of the ball. The best defenses have had mean guys. There's not been any pacifists on a great defense.
We're a little different. Yeah.
We're built differently. But when you bring those type of guys in, when you bring those type of guys in, the vets have to take them under the wing and say, okay, hey, here's how we do things, and the kid will respond because you've seen it happen in the NFL year in, year out.
But didn't Barry do that? Like, I can recall, like, Barry saying that this is a guy he likes and he's taken under.
Yeah.
you know.
It does bring up an interesting point, though, about whether or not some of these things, and again, maybe there's stuff that's happened in that locker room that we don't know about, and maybe we'll never know about it. I mean, it's hard to really comment unless you know all of the details, but is this the kind of thing that maybe you could coach around?
I think it is, and I think to your point, man, where's the veteran leadership, right? Like guys like Tom Ali and Derek Johnson, guys who have been in the league for a long time, and like you said, at some point you start to feel like maybe I let this kid down because he is a great talent. And you see what he's been able to prove year in and year out, but obviously you can't be throwing flags off the field and stuff like that because that's going to hurt your team. And at some point, those kinds of things will, like you said, have ramifications down the line, especially if you want to get the big contract. You have to be able to show that you can be a leader and you can be that guy that they can depend on if they're going to pay you that big money.
Talking about the locker room implications that Ian brought up, he also mentioned money. To me, that doesn't make any sense because he still had 1 year left on his rookie deal, which they're paying him nothing for.
And
then he has a fifth-year
option.
option. Then they have the option to tag him. So you could have had him for 3 more years in a financially I guess a good situation for Kansas City. Anyway, I'll tell you who loves this move, and that's the quarterbacks of the AFC West.